Have you ever hit rock bottom and thought, there's no way out? What if I told you that moment your lowest, darkest, most hopeless arc could actually be the start of the greatest transformation of your life? In this video, I'm sharing a true story of how one regular guy with no money, no job, and no direction accidentally found himself on a cross-country journey that changed everything. This story isn't fiction. It's real, and it might just change how you see So make sure you subscribe, give this video a like, and let's dive into a story that proves one thing. Sometimes getting lost is how you finally find yourself. Have you ever felt like your life was quietly collapsing behind the scenes and no one could tell from the outside? That was me, just 25, living in Chicago, juggling part-time jobs, and pretending I had it all figured out. But the truth, I was broke, exhausted, and emotionally numb. I had no direction, and the more I tried to fix it, the more everything just unraveled. The last straw came in a single week. I lost my job. The company was downsizing, and I was non-essential. My girlfriend, someone I dated for nearly 3 years, said she didn't see a future with me anymore. And then my landlord handed me an eviction notice, all within 5 days. I remember sitting on the edge of my mattress bare, stained, just laying on the floor and staring at the wall like it might offer a solution. Nothing, just silence. The air felt still, like time had paused to let me process the wreckage of what used to be my plan. That night, I didn't cry, I didn't scream. I just stood up, packed a backpack with the bare minimum one change of clothes, a water bottle, an old notebook, and walked out. I didn't even know where I was going. I started walking west. At first, I stayed close to the highway. I'd sleep in rest areas or under old bus stop shelters. Sometimes, I'd take shelter in 24-hour diners, order the cheapest thing on the menu, and nurse it for hours. I was invisible, and that hurt but also freed me. No one expected anything from me anymore. For the first time, I didn't have to pretend I was okay. My feet hurt. My shoulders ached. I went days without a proper meal or warm shower, but I kept walking. Something about the motion quieted the chaos in my mind. When your whole world shrinks to the weight of your pack, the sound of your steps, and the horizon ahead, your brain has no choice but to slow down. By the time I crossed into Iowa, I had spoken to more strangers than I had friends. A trucker who bought me breakfast after hearing my story, an old farmer who let me sleep in his barn, a mom and her son who gave me a ride and told me about how they'd once been homeless too. I wasn't just walking anymore, I was witnessing. Every town had a story, every face had a history. And suddenly, life felt rich again, not because I had money or a job, but because I was finally present. I started writing again, every night. Little reflections, stories from people I met, poems. I wrote about the waitress who shared her tips with me, the mechanic who gave me free coffee and a ride to the next town. I wrote about the silence between footsteps, about how it felt to be completely alone and at peace. When I got to Colorado, everything changed. I met a guy at a diner. He noticed me scribbling and asked if I was a writer. I laughed, not really, I told him, just trying to keep track of where I've been. He asked to read a page. Then he asked to take a photo of it. I didn't think much of it. 3 days later, he messaged me. That photo he posted online had gone viral, thousands of likes, comments from people saying they cried, saying they felt seen. I was stunned. All I did was write what I saw. That moment gave me something I hadn't felt in years, direction. He connected me with someone from a small publishing house. I sent over more entries from my notebook. They offered me a deal to turn it into a book. That notebook, filled with sweat-stained, road-worn pages, became a story, my story. I spent the next year polishing it, adding context, telling the full journey from my collapse in Chicago to standing barefoot in the sands of New Mexico. The book launched quietly, but grew steadily. Eventually, I was invited to speak to students, to small groups, to podcasts. Now, nearly 3 years later, I run workshops on mental clarity, resilience, and the power of movement. Not running from your problems, but walking with them, giving them space to breathe, letting them evolve and letting yourself evolve with them. And here's what I learned: if you're going through something, even something that feels unbearable, you don't have to fix everything at once. Just take the next step. Literally, sometimes the smallest forward motion can create the biggest internal shift. Don't be afraid to start small. Take a walk without your phone. Write down how you feel. Talk to a stranger. Disconnect from the noise. Reconnect with the silence inside you. Be curious, be humble, accept help. Give help when you can. And most importantly, don't quit on yourself just because everything around you seems broken. Because sometimes losing everything is exactly how you find yourself. If this story moved you, inspired you, or made you think even for a moment, please hit that like button. It helps this video reach more people who need to hear it. And if you want to be part of a community that believes in real stories, in transformation, in honesty and grit, then subscribe to the channel. You never know, your next chapter might be just one step away. Let me know in the comments, if you could walk anywhere in America tomorrow, where would you go? Thanks for being here, and remember, the road doesn't just lead somewhere new. Sometimes it leads back to you.